grandchildren, and oldest boy being second in line of 6 children to Don Bragg. I was asked by Mama, or some of you know her, like he had mentioned, Mama T, Mother T, the Queen, and obviously the better half, to write the eulogy for Donald George Bragg, or as I know him as Pop. My obvious response was absolutely. But at that time, I couldn't even imagine where to start with writing such a huge tribute for someone who is known as a husband to one, a father to some, an inspiration to most, and a legend to all. I decided to open up Reflections of Gold, a collection of poems by Don Bragg. As I began to explore the words and emotions of a legend, a tear traveled down my cheek. I took a step back to simply recap my life with Pop. To him, nothing was truly impossible. There was only solutions to problems. There was never a question of how something could be done. It was always when and how efficiently could it be. There was never hesitation, only a driving force of faith and determination, fueling every task, event, problem, obstacle, negative naysayer, and struggles that he'd come his way. So to begin, I want to recite a poem from Reflections of Gold, which is a collection, as I mentioned, from Don Bragg. I feel as if it expresses something we all go through on a daily basis and something Don overcame in almost every chapter of his life. Actually, better yet, Terry, would it be possible to play the recording of the legend himself?
Struggles. The struggles here, the struggles come. We constantly wonder where it's from. Is it that which keeps us alive, the reason why we continuously strive? Then help me fight once more, O force, because the struggle has come again, of course. It's never-ending method to keep us strong and not decrepit. We shudder when it does appear, the feeling of combat we know is near. Yet if we could tally all, we've risen more than we did fall. So come again, O struggle, come, because we do know the source you're from.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Don was born on May 15th in 1935 in Penn Grove, New Jersey. He was a healthy 9-pound baby boy. Quick side note, I was 10 pounds. Sorry, Mom. He was a son to Gene and George, a brother to his sister Diane, a brother to Georgie, and half-brother to Bill. Don's childhood was like most in Penns Grove, a lower single income family who knew what hard work was all about. From a young age, Don and his brother Georgie were always able to make the best out of every situation. Whether it was creating game to play in the woods, messing around with their neighborhood gang, or staying busy while working on their business of trapping and selling muskrats. I'm assuming that's a Jersey thing. During these years, Don's love for Tarzan began to grow. He used to go into the woods to build rope swings in the swamp areas where he would mimic his lifelong hero Tarzan, yelling in the trees and trying to reenact the stunts he had seen in the movies. Soon his self-made jungle gym grew to be known as Tarzanville. Any and all free time he had would be spent there. Tarzanville was a huge contributor to the strength and endurance Don needed for the next chapter of his life. In the summer of '95, Don and his gang found bamboo rods that were used to roll up carpeting. They had the great idea to use those poles to jump over a 6 to 8 foot canal. Don says it was 8, I hear otherwise, which then evolved into jumping over clotheslines in the backyard. Don was the only kid to successfully clear the canal and the clotheslines unharmed, which was a surprise to him because he was always last at everything. Don attended Penns Grove High School, where his pole vaulting career officially began. Don met Bob Richards, at a track meet during his sophomore year. Richards encouraged Don to pursue the sport on a more formal basis. Don's career in pole vaulting flourished as his faith and determination led him to become the best in the world. Don was recruited for Villanova University by its renowned track coach, Jumbo Elliott. While at Villanova University, he held every title in track and field for pole vaulting. Don broke a 16-year-old world record on February 13th, 1959, when he vaulted 15 feet 9.5 inches in Philly, and set an outdoor world record by vaulting 15 feet 9.25 inches at the Olympic trials in Stanford Stadium, July 2nd, 1960, which broke a 17-year-old world record. Due to an injury in '56, he was not able to qualify for the Olympic team. However, after graduating from the Villanova in '57, Don entered the Army to serve his country, maintain his standing as an athlete, and preserve his eligibility for the Olympics. After breaking the outdoor world record at the Olympic trials, Don went on to win the gold in the 1960 Rome Summer Olympics. His lifelong dream had been fulfilled, and the only way he could express himself to the thousands of cheering fans was to give the Tarzan yell that echoed throughout the stadium, giving him the name Don Tarzan Bragg to forever live on. We'll get there. It's a story. Don was inducted into the National Track and Field Hall of Fame in '96 for all that he had done in his career and for the sport. To this day, he holds the indoor, outdoor, and Olympic record for pole vaulting with the metal pole before the sport was transformed by the arrival of the flexible, lightweight fiberglass pole. After the Olympics and retirement, Don still aspired to play Tarzan. Like fellow Olympian Johnny Weissmuller, he had several chances to play his dream role in the movies after he had retired from pole vaulting, but twice lost roles because of an injury, and once seen a prospective film victim to copyright infringement dispute while filming in Jamaica. As all of you can know, I could write an entire book specifically just about Don's career and lifelong accomplishments in the athletic field. But honestly, what fun would that be at the celebration of his life? So, I want to get to the absolute best part of his life, and a big reason why I'm here in front of you today. The reason is Teresa Bragg. Can you please stand? Just for a second, go ahead and sit. It all started on a cold winter night, December 18th, 1954 to be exact. Don went to pick up his younger sister Diane from a school dance, but instead his eye caught a little 5'0", nothing, beautiful blue-eyed, blonde, petite Italian lady. Yep, you guessed it. He picked her up instead. That's great.
Yeah!
Okay. Don and Teresa married 6 years later on November 12th, 1960, and shared a total of 65 years together. I don't know how that was even possible. Good job. Shortly after, in '62, their first son, Mark, was born. Then came number 2, like myself, my mom, Renee. I lost my spot. Youngest daughter, Tracy, was born in '65, followed by the crazy youngest one, Jeff, born in '66. They had a 5th child, George Thomas, but complications kept him from remaining here on Earth. But he will forever live in our hearts and with Don up in heaven. After retiring from pole vaulting and embarking into fatherhood, Don never slowed down with his aspirations to create a change in this world. In '66, Don's father, George, passed away, leaving a big hole in his life. Although childhood was a struggle, a lot of the times there was always tough love and care given by his father. Before he passed, Don's father had mocked up a set of plans and specs for the buildings Don needed to conquer his next chapter, which most of you know as Camp Olympic. Don had a dream to provide a place for the underprivileged kids from the surrounding big cities, giving them a place to go for the summer to not only better their education and athleticism, but to also cultivate skills for a better future. By '67, Camp Olympic was in full stride to become a success. It was a glorified Tarzanville, a kid's dream of outdoor fun equipped with cabins and bunk beds, a chow hall, classroom for studying mathematics and English, basketball courts, swimming holes, and endless opportunities for athletic growth. Don and Teresa put blood, sweat, and tears into creating Camp Olympic, and seeing their dream come true made all worth the struggle. Great-grandma Mama T's mother was a camp chef, obviously, because she was Italian. So you knew the food was always delicious. And the kids, Mark, Renee, Tracy, and Jeff, were there every summer helping along with the camp activities. Camp Olympic started to make a name for itself over the years, bringing in some big-name athletes to visit, inspire, and play with the kids, from world-renowned champions like Muhammad Ali to a long list of NFL, NBA, and Olympic stars. The number of children whose lives changed throughout the years at Camp Olympic grew into the hundreds. And during the later years, kids who attended Camp Olympic would contact Don and Teresa to thank them for what they did. and offering them a safe haven of education, knowledge, and fun to help get through the constant obstacles and struggles of life. As the camp prospered along came another challenge. The state of New Jersey was embarking on yet building another college located in the Pinelands. Don was asked to consult 6 months in laying out the logistics for the athletic department. Those 6 months turned into 10 years, and Don became the athletic director of the college, now known as Stockton University. He considered himself retired after his time in Stockton, but as the owner of several hundred acres, his love for the outdoors prompted him to start a kayaking rental business, which became known as Kayak King. He then passed the torch on to Mark in Killington, Vermont, and Kayak King Jr. is now open. As a father, Don always liked to test his inventions and more ideas on his kids or grandkids. For example, one idea was strapping his youngest, Jeff, to a lawn chair attached to multiple helium balloons in an attempt to get him to, I believe, fly. You'll have to elaborate for everyone on that a little bit. Of course, he had the rope tied to a chair to ensure he wouldn't float away. And of course, he had a backup plan if that failed, which was a .22 rifle. To shoot the balloons one by one to lower him slowly, just in case he got away. Luckily, Tricia showed up and was able to stop it before anything else happened. Another idea was creating gravity-powered go-karts to ride down the storm drains on mountainside. Similar to a bobsled.
The gully.
But not so much.
Gully
This
runner.
was tested by my brother and I. Needless to say, the first go-around was a failure, mostly because he never put a braking system on. After a catastrophic failure resulting in blood dripping down both of our arms and legs, he responded with, "Why didn't you use your feet to slow down?" Try it again. He
Try it
eventually
again.
succeeded, and we were able to convince him afterwards to put brakes on. Pop had a funny way of teaching lessons, especially on how to deal with pain. When I was little, I always ran around barefoot because I wanted to be like Pop and Tarzan. Well, the inevitable finally happened, and I ran over a nail that penetrated all the way through my foot. I come hopping into the house, not crying, to Pop wide-eyed and pointing at my foot. With a straight face, he said, "Come here." So I sat down, and without hesitation, he punched me in the arm, pulled out the nail. I screamed, still not crying, and he says, "Lesson learned." Wait, what? What kind of lesson is that? Still, I don't get it. One day. Pop was a father to me, and I am so grateful for his wisdom. Even if he had a weird way of teaching some of life's greatest lessons, though it may have taken me a while to understand them. Like everyone here, I could spend a decade telling stories and experiences I have with Pop. I am one life changed by his time here on Earth. He showed me how working harder and smarter is the way to success, to dream bigger than the guy next to you, never settle for average, and as long as I have faith and consistent determination towards my goals, not a single struggle on this earth will hold me back. It's easy for me to stand up here and talk about his accomplishments and all his success with ease, but let me tell you, it was not easy for him. Every achievement, medal, title, record, business venture, and goal Don strived for came with a backlog of struggles and obstacles that would crumble an ordinary man. But he endured those obstacles and conquered even more, always looking forward to the next challenge. Over the last several years, his greatest pleasure was with our family gatherings when the grandchildren sat around to hear his stories. I'm sure we heard the same ones over and over, but they never got old. In the last several weeks, our family has been receiving hundreds of messages and beautiful articles, all describing his years of a champion. But these are not just the athletic victories. They are ones from friends or acquaintances telling their memories of playing sandlot ball, swimming in the local lakes, giving training tips, and so much more. He was a man's man, but also charitable, caring and giving of himself to whoever was in need. But of course, as we all know, he never wanted you to know his charming side. To most of you, he was an Olympic champion, but to the grandchildren, he was Pop. Rest in peace, Don Tarzan Bragg.